So if you're here, your GitHub contribution chart probably looks something like this. And if you're a developer, and whether you're trying to land the job of your dream or build the knowledge you need to start your own startup, having a well-polished GitHub profile is very much important. For us developers, the GitHub profile is basically a record of all the things that we did, how we did it. So every developer should polish it and treat it like it was a personal presentation card. I'm Matteo, I've been coding for more than 10 years now. I've worked both at a big corporate here in Italy, and I also landed a position as a CTO in an American startup. A few months ago, I decided to go solo. I launched an app and a B2B startup here in Italy. Today, I'm going to give you my top 3 methods that I used to boost my GitHub account and land the job that I landed and build the knowledge that I used to build my own startup. So the first method is, whether you're starting out or you're already an established developer, basically document everything you did on GitHub. So what I'm talking about is, whether you're starting a new project or writing a script, be sure to actually build the project in a way that is supposed to be production ready. Whenever you're writing code, try to polish it, write good code, document your code, create a repository, slap in a well-written README where you identify how to get started, how to install dependencies, how to run it, even how to contribute on it if you want. I challenge you, actually think about how many projects you already did and how many of them are on GitHub. Talking to friends of mine or colleagues, I see that there are people that either do not do anything outside of work, and that is kind of weird. We are developers, so usually we do stuff. But I also see many developers that did a lot of projects, but 20% of them are stored on GitHub. And this is very weird, because since you actually coded all those projects, why not polish them and put them on GitHub? It's just going to increase your visibility and boost your GitHub account. When I was doing the interview for my big corporate job, the interviewer started asking me, about soft skill stuff, teamwork. And when we reached the technical part, the first thing he did was asking me my GitHub portfolio. And as soon as he looked to it, he was completely astonished. And by the end of the interview, he was like, look, for me, you can start tomorrow. You have 50 plus repositories on your GitHub account. Everything is well documented. You have README for everything. Then I didn't take the job and I took a better one. But basically, I skipped the technical interview at a big corporate just because I had a well-polished GitHub account. The second method I'm going to give you is contributing to open source projects. It can be difficult at the beginning, identifying which repository you want to contribute. It is common for developers to get kind of overwhelmed and think, I'm not able to do this, the code base is too big, I do not understand anything. So the first step is keep using whatever framework or packages you are using, but identify pain points and problems and issues when you are using it. When you encounter the problem, go to the issue section or the discussion section and start looking for other developers complaining about the same stuff. The best type of issues that you can start with are usually small issues like integration problems, minor bug fixes, tend to remain stuck in the backlog of the open source project. Talk with other developers to actually understand whether this is a problem, whether they need a solution for this or not. And then you can start by just forking the repository, take that simple piece of code that corresponds to that problem and try to play around in your local environment. Usually takes, at least the first time, can take up to a week or a couple of days. When you've done that, go back to the issue section and let all the developers know that you actually fixed this problem, that you have an active fork of the repository with the working fixes, and ask them to test it. In this way, you're going to have basically tens of developers that are already testing your solution. In this way, when the pull request is going to be merged, you're basically going to become a contributor to that open source project. And this is huge, because if you are able to do this move for big frameworks, for example, Vue, React, Next, you're basically going to become a contributor to those frameworks. So as an example, when I was building my mobile application, I was using Flutter. We had map integration. We wanted to show markers. I started using the only package that was available to actually display these markers and basically clusterize the markers on the map. There was a very simple problem. Whenever you clicked a cluster, nothing happened. An handler was not hooked into the click event of the cluster. I went to the issue page of the repository and I saw that there were tons of developers asking, please hook an handler to this on-click event because we cannot click markers. But the maintainer was not responding. So what I did is fork the repository. In that case, it was a simple fix. So literally, I just hooked the on-click event handler and it worked right away. Then I went back to the issue section and let other developers know, hey guys, I just fixed this. You can test it from my fork, because in Flutter you can use a GitHub fork as a dependency. I had already tens of developers testing my solution, and when I created the pull request, the maintainer merged it right away. So I became a contributor to a major package in the Flutter environment. The last method I'm going to give you is the hardest one, but is, I think, the most effective one, mainly for building your own knowledge. Build a product. Build a product, anything you want. And I'm talking about building a full stack product. I'm not talking about building static websites or portfolios. I'm talking about building full stack products that you can actually commercialize and make money out of them. The problem with those static websites is the fact that these new AI tools, basically everybody can do it, but it's not going to actually stand out in your portfolio. Even if you don't know how to build a full stack product, my tip is to just start whatever you have in mind. Always keep it polished and write code as it was meant to be production ready. Always. So how do you find ideas for products? This is a huge field. I will probably make another video about it, how I did it and how it worked for me. Start from your own problems or your own interest. Whenever you're coding for work, you're using a framework or a package, whatever that is, always keep an eye open for pain points. For example, in your work, you have to use Excel to, crunch some numbers. Whenever you see an automation or fixing a certain repetitive task or problem, that is where you have to go in to craft a product that solves that specific pain point. Start from the MVP, one simple feature that actually solves that pain point, one single feature that actually works, and start already asking for feedback from your colleagues or other developers or users or whoever had that same pain point as you. This can take a lot of time. Remember, you can always treat it initially as a side project. So if you're working, like in the evening, instead of just playing League of Legends and hinting the lane, just start building your side project, your product. If it solves a pain point that you experience, that would be the best part because you would be an early adopter. I started some of my projects as a side project while I was working, and now I'm treating them like my full-time job. So these are my top 3 methods that I use to boost my account that helped me when I was searching for jobs, to actually land jobs. At the moment, I prefer to be poor and launch my own startup. And I assure you that if you start this thing right away, switch the mindset, start already building production code, polish the repository, create a repository, readmes, document it, your GitHub account is going to boost your career a lot. Whenever you are doing an interview, be sure to ask the recruiter, do you want to see my profile, and send them over the GitHub profile. I assure you that is basically going to help you a lot during your interviews and technical interviews.